Did you know that everything has to start with a Christmas special? Seems like that at times. Nothing like taking advantage of the holiday spirit in order to try and push your product and characters onto mainstream television. Yep, even Alvin and the Chipmunks started with a Christmas special. Okay, it's more accurate to say the Chipmunks revival started with a Christmas special. This thing premiered in 1981, which essentially led to the creation of Alvin and the Chipmunks 2 years later. Though I wouldn't exactly put the two in canon with one another, as you'll soon see. For now, let's just get 2 months of animated holiday specials going with A Chipmunk Christmas. We open with, okay! Does anyone have any idea what day this is taking place on? And then we move right to, oh no, they're really going there.
I wish I could tell you that Tommy's going to get well by Christmas, but I can't. To tell you the truth, I've tried everything possible.
Yep, they're not wasting any time going for the heartstrings, aren't they? And this is immediately what I was talking about when I said this thing might not be in canon with the 80s series. Really, what year is this taking place in if there's a doctor that still makes house calls? All I can do now is assume this is the original Chipmunks that took place back in the 50s and 60s. Especially since, as we then switch over to our titular rodents, we see they apparently live in a brownstone on the outskirts of New York City. Yeah, supposedly the Chipmunks in the 80s series lived in California, which was how it was green and sunny during Valentine's Day in that last special I reviewed. So we get a whole bit where Alvin, Simon, and Theodore get Dave out of bed while singing one Christmas song after the other.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Time to get up everywhere you go. Wake up, Dave. Take a look in the 5 and 10. Glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. Good morning.
And apparently their serenading is enough to calm Dave down so that he doesn't go into a traditional child abuse rage. I guess the power of the holiday season does exist. We then go from everyone being joyful to being grumpy because they have to do a recording session during the holidays. Until Dave says Alvin can use his harmonica, which gives Alvin the power of either the Flash or Gyro Gearloose's time teaser. Okay, 1. If Alvin loves that thing so much, why does he not always have it with him? And 2, I've already guessed what's going to happen in this special, and that might be a record. Wait, are we almost at the 5-minute mark? That means it's time for another Christmas song!
Dashing through the stores on a chipmunk skating board. Through the crowds we play, shopping all the way.
Oh, good night. This whole thing is basically going to be Twisted Christmas starring the Chipmunks, isn't it? So it's while Alvin is visiting his harmonica's, twin brother at the mall that he overhears the family of the sick boy we saw earlier and how the mom says she's not sure if said boy will make it until Christmas.
What does that mean, Mommy? Make it through Christmas. I still don't understand, Mommy.
So of course it's right after that little morbid treat that we cut to the most famous Chipmunk Christmas song of all!
Ready, fellas?
Ready whenever you are, Dave. Christmas, Christmas time is near. Time for joy.
Hold it, Alvin, you're a little flat. Let's try it again.
But Alvin can't concentrate because this is the one time where he actually seems to have a conscience. So he once again uses his Speed Force powers to barge into the family's home. And yeah, you could see what's coming from so far away. It's like you're in Kansas looking into Nebraska. Alvin gives the sick boy his prize harmonica. Of course, it's no real surprise they would pull this whole Christmas shoes ripoff story, but it is surprising this would happen only 7 minutes into the special. So what's gonna take up the rest of the runtime? Well, we find out in the second act when Dave manages to get a booking for the boys at Carnegie Hall on Christmas Eve. And get this, They want Alvin to play a harmonica solo. And I have to admit, this is actually a pretty clever twist on an old age holiday plot. Instead of the classic tale of trying to raise money for someone else for Christmas, Alvin now has to raise the money for himself as a result of his extreme act of generosity he already performed. It's almost like the gift of the Magi in reverse. By the way, I do have to point out two things I couldn't help but notice with the animation. How the chipmunks themselves are so often all herky-jerky, while the humans all look like they've been smoking some serious pot. Especially Dave. So now it's crazy scheme time, as Alvin prepares to pose as Santa for pictures, dressing up the neighbors' dogs as reindeer. And this is where I have the one major issue with the special. Because when Dave finds out about Alvin's little scheme, he assumes Alvin is only trying to make money for himself, and gives all three of the boys this whole lecture on being selfish during the season of giving and yada yada. And it's like we're supposed to be sorry for Alvin being punished for something he didn't really do, but it's still his fault because he refused to admit to Dave that he gave away the harmonica. Anyway, this leads Alvin into having the weirdest Christmas fever dream imaginable, where he enters some sort of Dr. Seuss world where Dave mixed with Lyman from Garfield lectures Alvin further on the spirit of Christmas with Abraham Lincoln as Santa and pink elephants as the reindeer, and I swear to you all I didn't have any eggnog before watching this. So it's Christmas Eve, and even after Simon and Theodore pool in their money for Alvin, it's still not enough for the harmonica. But at the same time that Dave finally discovers the truth, thanks to the sick boy's mother calling them, this old lady shows up at the mall out of the blue and up and buys the harmonica for Alvin. And then she just up and disappears after Alvin plays for everyone in the mall. So Dave apologizes to Alvin, and Alvin gets his harmonica solo at Carnegie, where he finds his biggest fan there having recovered and all well again. So Alvin gives him the chance to perform with the original harmonica, and the special ends with the big surprising reveal that the old lady from the mall was Mrs. Claus. What a twist, eh? To be honest, I'm not sure I've seen another special that got me hyped at the start and was then such a letdown with the ending. Even with the early twist, the rest of the plot is about as point for point as you would think, but it just kind of comes off as unpolished. It actually feels like it would have been just another episode of the Chipmunks TV series rather than a special. Who knows why a network decided to revive the Chipmunks with this one special 20 years later, but I guess they were impressed enough to give Ross Bagdasarian a new full series 2 years later. That's actually impressive, as most cartoons back then needed multiple specials before the series was greenlit, including our next entry for this month. Oh yes, everyone. Next time, it's time to run with us once again.
Run